Hey guys, it's Kenny from my charts. We are going to be looking at market patterns today. We're going to be going through them in series. First, bullish patterns, then bearish, then bullish, then bearish, then we'll be done. So the first market pattern we're going to be looking at is called Symmetrical Triangle. So as you guys can see, price is moving in such a way that if you draw trend lines, price will it will look like a symmetrical triangle, right? So what we do when this happens, we wait for the break, then the retest, then we can get it. So this is on the 4 hour, which means had you drawn this on the 4 hour, you would have waited for the retest, which is this. Then when you see that the candle is touching this area, you would have moved to the lower time frames to then look for an entry, right? With the candlestick analysis I showed you last time, right? And by the way, this is a disclaimer. This doesn't mean that it only happens on the 4 hour. This is just an example. These type of market patterns will be all over the place. That will happen on the 5 minutes, the 1 minute, the hourly, even on the daily, even the weekly, or even the monthly, right? This is just an example. So now let's look at another market pattern, which is called ascending triangle, right? So as you guys can understand from the name, right, we have price ascending, but it's not there is an area where it's not breaking, right? So price keeps creating higher lows after higher lows, but then it's not breaking this resistance. So what we do is we wait for the break, right? Then wait for the retest. Then we can get into the trade here to then buy with the trend, right? So let me show you the example on the chart. So, GJ. By the way, these patterns are not always clean, so you should know how to identify them even if they're not as clean as you want them to be, right? So as you guys can see, this looks like an ascending triangle, right? So there is an area where price has not been breaking, but also price has been moving to the upside, creating higher lows, right? So what we do here is wait for the break, for the retest, and then we get into the buy after this. So had you decided to just look at the markets, depending on what type of trader you are, to just look at the market and wait for a 30-minute confirmation, you would have maybe taken this doji or this pin bar, but the better entry would have been after this bullish engulfing candle, because it shows the bullish strength in the markets, right? So this was a good entry, this was a good entry, this was also a good entry. Then you could have rode the markets to the upside, right? So now let's talk about inverted head and shoulders, right? So first, let me show you an example of a head and shoulder. This is what a head and shoulder looks like, right? So it has a head, a right shoulder, then a left shoulder. So all you have to do when it's an inverted head and shoulder is just invert it, right? So inverted head and shoulders look like this. So what we do here is wait for the market break of the neckline. The neckline is here, by the way. Let me show you. So this is the head, this is the right shoulder, the left shoulder, this is the neckline. So this is what you do. You have to wait for the market to break the neckline, then wait for it to come back to retest, then you buy with a trend. So let me show you an example. I actually took this trade for learning purposes. When I was making the video, when I was about to make the video, I saw this trade yesterday. Okay, now the markets have closed, but when I was looking at the markets, analyzing for you guys, I saw this and I took this as for you guys to learn, right? So let me show you. This is the trade I took. So as you guys can see, this was sent yesterday at 9:31 a.m. right? And as you guys can see, this is the point of entry. This is my stop loss. So yeah, and this is what it looks like on the charts. So this is the head, this is the right shoulder, this is the left shoulder. So what you do is wait for the break, as I told you, then come with the retest, then you can buy, right? So this is the hourly. So had you went on the maybe the 5 minutes, you could have gotten like an entry on this, because I'm sure there is some type of retest. Let me show you, but it's more recommended to wait, because the retest will most likely happen, right? Sorry, my internet is bugging. Yeah, so as you guys can see, price broke through, and if you guys remember what I taught you in the first video, this is a good bullish confirmation for you to buy. Then after this, you would have bought from here, you would have put your stop loss under here, then depending on what type of trader, you would have rode this to the upside, right? But I mostly recommend you guys to wait for a retest, for a real retest, because then you are more comfortable with the trade, right? So now we are going to be looking at cup and handle, right? Funny name, right? But yeah. Euro GBP. So this is how cup and handles look like, right? So we have price moving in such a way that if you draw maybe with your pen, with your trading view pen, it will kind of create some sort of cup, and then break, then create some type of handle too, then break to the upside, right? So if I use my my pen, this is what it looks like. You guys can see, put some steam in it too, you know. So what you do is you wait for you can't just take the trade with a cup, right? You also have to wait for the handle to then break, retest, then you buy, right? So let me show you the example in the charts. What's wrong now? Oh, man. Okay. As you guys can see, the way price was moving, again, you guys should remember, you should learn how to identify these types of things, because they'll not always look perfect, right? Most of the times they'll actually look a bit confusing, so you have to learn how to understand them when you see them, right? So you guys can see we have our cup here. So you remember, we wait for the break of the neckline. Again, you guys should remember, the neckline is where price is not being able to break, right? So when it breaks, you wait for it to retest that neckline, right? Then it broke the neckline, then came back down. When it came back down, it created the holder, right? So as you guys can see, this is the holder, right? So we waited for the holder to be made. Then after it was made, we waited for a break and retest, right? So this is when price broke. This actually looks like it's, yeah. Yeah. So when price broke the cup, the holder I meant, it broke it, then came back to retest, gave us a beautiful bullish engulfing. the candle formed outside of the neckline, also outside of the cup, out of the cup handle, then we would have profited from this had we taken this trade, right? Pretty good movement actually, depending on what type of trader you are, right? So now let's go on the bearish side, right? GG. So you guys remember the bullish symmetrical triangle I showed you, right? So now we also have a bearish symmetrical triangle, right? So price moves within, we wait for the break, retest, then we sell, right? This was an extremely good movement. Had you caught it, you would have enjoyed it, right? Came back again, obviously to the resistance, but you couldn't break it, so shot back down. But this is what we are looking for, specifically this, right? So we wait for price to do whatever it does. When it breaks the symmetrical triangle is when it now has our attention, and we wait for price to come back and retest the symmetrical triangle. Sell signal, beautiful sell signal. Enter the trade, set our stop loss, then set our targets however you want to set them, right? You can go lower, you can go higher, whatever you want, depending on what type of trader you are, right? So now let's look at the descending triangle, right? You guys remember the ascending triangle I showed you, right? Now we are going to be looking at the descending triangle for our and guys, so some of these things, right? You will see a descending triangle, then you will also see a head and shoulder, right? So these are more confirmations, right? Because even though I haven't yet shown you the head and shoulder, right? I only showed you the inverted head and shoulder. But if you look at this closely, right, you will find that this is the right shoulder, the left shoulder, the head comes back down, then the right shoulder, then yeah, now you can see it's a nice head and shoulder, right? So you guys have to be keen with this, right? So as you guys can see, price has been moving, right? Creating from this, right? Higher high, higher low, lower high. It has not been breaking this, but when it finally broke it, came back to retest. By the way, the retests should not always be huge, right? So, for example, this is a higher time frame, right? So what we do here is wait for the higher time frame to break, then we can go back to the lower time frames, then wait for that retest and that sell confirmation to be made, then you can sell from this, right? So if you go on the smaller time frames, I don't want to go in the smaller time frames because I'll lose the charts. But if you do, you will most probably see a sell confirmation here. Matter of fact, it's not that you will most probably. I know for a fact you'll see it, right? So if you guys have time, you can go on your Euro GBP charts, then go on the lower time frames. It was 23rd December at midnight. Then you'll see the entry where you would have made your entry, right? So now head and shoulder. Let me show you. So we have price moving to the upside, right? We have it creating the the left shoulder, but then the left shoulder is nothing yet until the head is created. That's when you start, you should now be concentrated on the charts because something can be made from that, right? So the left shoulder is made, price moves up, creates the head, price moves down to the neckline, can't break it, then creates the right shoulder, right? This is the 4 hour, but we still see a clean entry here, right? So if you can see this on the higher time frames, you will definitely see it on the lower time frames, right? So you could have taken the trade from here, but I don't recommend. Some people do it, which is good. It's also a confirmation. But if you want to be comfortable with your trade, wait for price to break the neckline, then wait for the retest. As you guys can see here, it retested. Then you will then look for sell confirmations. Then go for your targets. This was a good movement to the downside, 175 pips, extremely good movement. Came back again. Remember what I showed you guys earlier? Price broke the neckline, broke the neckline, came to retest, then went back to the resistance, then dropped again, right? So now we are going to be looking at now we're going to be looking at now we're going to be looking at flags, right? Now we're back with the bullish market patterns, right? So Euro GBP 1 hour. So you guys remember the cup holder I showed you guys, right? Extra confirmations. You guys remember I told you sometimes you'll see patterns in a same, like in the same pattern, I can say, right? These market patterns will sometimes they'll be in like they'll be folded inside together, right? Now you saw the holder, right? Now I need you guys to know the holder is always a flag, right? So this looks like a flag, right? All you have to do is this looks like a flag, right? So now all you have to do is wait for the flag to be broken, retest and buy it, right? Now we're going to be looking at Pennant, right? So gold, excuse my internet. Yeah, so my internet is slow, sorry guys. Yeah, so okay, so this is how pennants look, right? So price will come to the upside, create some type of consolidation, right? Creating higher lows and lower highs, right? To look like this, then it will break, retest, and go to the upside, right? But pennants do not really need retest. Okay, as depending on what I've been seeing on the chart, sometimes pennants just break, right? But it's always better to wait for the retest, right? So this is how it looks like, and if you guys look closely, you will see that price came to the upside, right? It was going up, sort of consolidated in this area, then broke, then started going up. So when this happens, you can minimize your risk just on this type of market pattern. Minimize your risk, then get into the trade, put your stop loss under here, then just wait for price to keep moving up, right? So now we are going to be looking at double bottoms, right? So double bottoms is when price comes to the downside, goes back up, comes back down, then breaks, right? So this is what I would like you guys to do, right? Is to wait for the break of the neckline, retest, then buy to the upside, right? This is what I would recommend you. But as you guys can see, a double bottom has been created here, right? 1, 2, double bottom. Just wait for the break of the neckline, wait for price to come back to retest, then buy, right? So this is on the daily chart. So this is the neckline. Like, price has not been breaking this area, right? Price came back down, came back to this sort of resistance. This was creating the resistance, came back down, creating the double bottom, then went to the upside, broke, came back down. You would have entered on this bullish engulfing candle. Again, depending on what type of trader you are, because some people may take the trades on the daily, right? Because there may be trend traders, they just get into one trade for a month, a week, so depending on the type of confirmations they get, right? So you should have waited for the break, this break, the retest, gotten this, then this would have been the entry, right? And you'd have actually capitalized a lot from this, right? Because some trend traders, their TP1 would have been here because of this, and the stop loss would have been here. This would have been a nice trade. Their TP2 here because of this. Their TP3 because of this higher low, right? So you guys should be setting your take profits, like, depending on levels, not just setting them because you want price to get there, because it will most likely not get there if you're just wishing for it to get there, right? So now we are going to be looking at triple bottoms. GBP USD. By the way, the reason as to why I keep on switching pairs is to show you guys that these patterns are everywhere, right? Whatever you trade, whatever type of pair you trade, you'll find them, right? This slow connection. Yeah. So triple bottom, right? Same concept as double bottom, right? So price comes, drops, right? Goes to the upside, right? Comes again, does this, breaks this neckline, gets here, and then, goes up. But what I would recommend is, right, for you guys is, like, if you take the trade here, wait for price to break here, come to retest, then if you're to put your TP, put it on this resistance, right? Because now we have two necklines, right? Or just wait for price to break the real neckline, like the higher neckline, retest it. It might also come back and retest here, by the way, and then go to the upside. So let me show you. So price came, touched, went up, couldn't break the neckline or the resistance, came back down to the support area, creating a double bottom, went to the upside, couldn't break the neckline, then came back down, then went up, broke the neckline. We waited for the retest. While we were waiting for the retest, while the retest was happening, price created the double bottom. Can you guys see? Price created another double bottom. So this was a beautiful confirmation to then buy to the upside. By the way, if you have a double bottom, it doesn't mean that the double bottom should be like equal, right? It shouldn't always look like that, right? It can be this, a bit lower, and then goes to the upside, right? We just don't want price breaking the area, right? So for example, here you see this week, had the price came down until this week, then went up, then came back down again, we would have still validated it, right? It would have still been validated. But if price had come, right, broken this to the downside, then all we would have waited for would have been the retest of that area, then we sell, right? It would have changed. It would have no longer been a double bottom or even a triple bottom, right? So now onto the bearish patterns, right? Now we're going to look for the flag, for the bearish flag. Yeah, so bearish flag, right? So we want price to be moving to the downside, then pull back a bit, create a flag, then drop, break the flag, retest, then keep dropping, right? So yeah, exactly. So onto the charts, you guys can see price was moving to the downside, started moving a bit to the upside, then broke the trend line that we would have drawn had we been on the charts, then broke that trend line, then went to retest and started dropping. So you guys can see this is a clear bearish flag, right? Now let us look at a double top, right? Right. So I chose this example, this specifically because again it has the double top, the double top and the triple top all together, right? Because if price is not really breaking that resistance, then it is still a downtrend, right? So it's one Visa, right? So price, this is actually a double bottom too, but never mind. So price came to the upside, right? Came to the upside, created some type of rejected it, came back, creating some type of resistance. Then price came back down, then price started dropping. By the way, this is on the daily, right? But I can bet you, like, if you go to the charts, this happened on 27th of July 2021. So if you guys want, you can go back to the charts and then look at this, right? Because I'm pretty sure price, when like this candle, on this candle, price broke, came back to retest within the day, then started dropping, right? Now triple top, right? Price came back again. Price came back again, respected that resistance, creating another top, which made it a triple top, right? Then started dropping. This actually retested even on the daily, right? Retested the neckline, because you guys can see it came back down, broke it, came up again to retest the neckline, twizzle top, poof, and started dropping back to this resistance. This is also a double bottom, right? Again. So you guys, we are done with today's video. Hope you enjoyed it and hope you are going to understand what we have learned here. Yeah, see you in the next video.